Well, good day, everybody. 8th of December 2022. More importantly, it's Sunday. Normally things don't happen so much on Sundays. It's kind of a slow news day, but not today. Based on what happened last night, what's even going on right now. I suppose at this very minute, first, I'm jumping ahead of myself, like I do all the time. But anyway, as you know, that the, militants, terrorists, or whatever, have taken over Syria, and Assad has left the country, and it's not quite sure at this moment where he went. It's possible that he went to Iran. It's possible that he went to Russia. I would put my money on one of those two countries, to be honest with you. And like I said, nobody knows, not even the Prime Minister. And apparently they've, I don't know, what are they, detained or taken the Prime Minister into custody, even though the new government, I don't remember the guy's name. I guess we're going to find out a lot very soon, because now the guy's in control. But anyway, what was I saying? They're storming the Iranian embassy right now, these militants or terrorists or whatever. Acts of vandalism and whatnot. I don't know if they've evacuated the staff, if Iran has done that yet. I know that Iraq has evacuated their staff. So much for that. And apparently there's no news yet on what's going on with the Russian Navy base there, but I believe it is still operating, and there's nothing really happening there. But it's very obvious, because this person who has taken over, he has had training. I highly suspect, and we might even find this out, because as I know, for example, when you are, accepted into Delta Force, there are different, let's say, I think there are like 4 or 5 disciplines that you get trained in. I believe you get to choose which one. Maybe it's chosen between the person getting in, which, if you're an enlisted person, you immediately get the rank of sergeant, but you get to a school and you either become a munitions expert. I guess that's mostly with explosives and things, and I think there's communications, maybe there's medical. I'm not positive of that, but I know for sure that one of those is government, where they train you on whenever the United States is able to take over a country or a jurisdiction, that you are able to establish a government. And this person, and maybe some of his lieutenants, they seem to really know what they're doing as far as that's concerned. So I would highly suspect that this person has got some sort of a training by the US government. Not necessarily in the United States. I don't know. Or maybe somebody in the US government trained somebody else, and this person trained this guy. That's just what I suspect. I don't know if there's any other people that do that. And, also part of this takeover, what's happened is Israel has assaulted the border between Lebanon and Syria, and the last I heard, they were bombing it and making sure that Hezbollah cannot cross. But I think it's a done deal right now, and I don't think there's anything that Hezbollah can do. That was something from yesterday. So there's nothing going to be happening as far as Hezbollah coming in now. And I think there's still a little bit of fighting between Assad's forces and other rebel forces. Of course, maybe there are other forces involved here. And this force is, even if they don't say this, at least the guy in charge, he used to be an asset from the United States, and he might still be. He's Al-Qaeda, or what they call Al-Qaeda. And then, of course, Al-Nusra. And then now, whatever this band is, it's just a new name for Al-Nusra, which was Al-Qaeda. And it doesn't take much of a memory, really. I'll just jog your memory a little bit. When Hillary Clinton admitted that Al-Qaeda is a U.S. asset. So, a lot of you already know that, but I just have to remind you. That was an asset of the United States. And I think originally, you could say, what is it named? Osama bin Laden or whatever. He was a asset of the United States. So this myth that the United States or Obama killed Osama bin Laden is of course fake. Osama bin Laden had died years before that, and of course they had to rush to the ocean and dump his body in the ocean to comply with Islamic law. It's just like when some Muslim dies in the middle of the desert in Saudi Arabia, they put him on an express camel to the coast to dump their body in the ocean because that's part of Islamic law. A lot of people fell for that, but as you know, that's fake. They have the same sort of I guess you would call it rituals as in Christianity. So that was a fake thing. They don't go and dump the bodies in the ocean. It makes no sense at all. There's things about Islam. It's really interesting, but as you know, anybody in the West, primarily Christian people, they try to bullshit people very badly. And anyway, before all this happened, before this takeover, Erdogan has admitted that he is backing some of these rebels, and I guess that's one group, but obviously he would not be backing the Kurdish rebels. The United States is backing the Kurdish rebels, but apparently this guy, even though I suspect he's tied to the United States, I don't think he's part of the Kurdish rebels. So that would be a different band. And of course the United States, on the one side, it's near Jordan, they have the Al-Tanf, and there's a few military bases there, and then there's terrorist operations that the United States has been running nearby for a long time. But this group, they came out of the Idlib province, and Idlib has not been under the control of the Syrian government even since the time, 2011 and when all that stuff started. So that's kind of interesting as well. And anyhow, we just have to watch and see how this stuff unfolds and what the real deal is. I don't know if I have any more about that. I might add it if I find. I took some little notes here and I'm going to read them, just of some of the big events that have happened in the past few days since I did my video yesterday. If you guys saw that, and I'm amazed. I sometimes wonder, my videos aren't really that good. I don't like to watch them because I think I'm terrible, and I'm surprised I got like 4 new subscribers, for what I think is a terrible video. I have to thank people that have subscribed, and often I notice sometimes you get a subscriber or something, or maybe or two, and then right away a couple of them drop. Maybe they think I have a different attitude towards things, that I'm pro this or anti that or whatever. So, they'll drop. That's not a problem. So, I would maybe make the same mistake on some people. Oh, by the way, I would also want to say, and I don't know, I haven't seen anything from this guy recently, but he's fairly new, and I think I saw it when he had 8 videos up, and right away he's shot up to getting like over 1,000 views, and he's very pro Tulsi Gabbard, and his news is also very good, and he will become quite big. He's a young guy. And I remember back when I started watching Jackson Hinkle, when he was broadcasting from his bedroom from his parents' house in California, and he wasn't that big. I think he had a few thousand, viewers. And I was also at the same time watching Patrick Bet-David when he used to, be alone on this one thing, and he had this butcher paper, and he used to write things up on that. Now he's very big. He's approaching maybe like Joe Rogan, sort of a deal. So some of these guys, I called it from the beginning, and they were very good, just like Emil Kosman. Emil Kosman is also quite a bit bigger, and if you haven't seen Emil Kosman, a lot of people don't know about him. You should check out his site too. Very good, very entertaining, and he's also got a black cat like I do. His black cat's a little bit older. I think it was younger. Used to walk in front of him, and when I start to do videos when my room is finished, my cabinet, which means office in Russian, then my black cat is going to come too, but mine's he's a lot more feisty. He's too friendly, way too friendly. I'm gonna have to stick him out of the room, stop the videos or something if he's present, because he's gonna get too active and start rubbing his whiskers all over my chin, and then he starts to give me his love bites on his chin. But that's another topic. So let's get on to what else is going on here. Yes, Erdogan. I talked about Erdogan already, and yes. What about Trump? I thought this was about Trump. Oh, Trump. He says that the U.S. will stay out of Syria. Well, we all know that the U.S. is big time in Syria. I really don't know why he made such a statement. And he knows that they have a base there, and he knows they're involved in Syria. At least I think so. Or maybe he does not know, or doesn't want to act like he knows about the level of involvement of the CIA in all of that. So I have no idea. It's how Donald Trump is. You never know what the heck he's talking about a lot of time. Like, he says he defeated Al-Qaeda when obviously it was Russia that did that more than anybody else. Russia and Syrian army, of course, both together. And the United States, well, no, it was not Al-Qaeda, ISIS. I get all these terrorist groups mixed up. So in truth, the United States, like Hillary Clinton said, they're the, what does it say? Al-Qaeda, she admitted that Al-Qaeda was an asset. And I think there's audio recording, maybe it was Obama, that said ISIS is an asset of the United States. And that's obvious too. It's like you have to ask yourself, well, who's feeding all these soldiers? Where does this money come from? And we thought that it was maybe Saudi Arabia. It turns out, there's a little bit involvement back in those days with Saudi Arabia, but now MBS is staying out of this stuff, I guess. And Turkey was also somewhat involved. Everybody knows that, even Russia. Russia sort of, turns a blind eye, obviously, to Erdogan a little bit because, I don't know. Remember when Turkey shot down that Russian airplane and they were celebrating? And then all the tourists stopped going to Turkey, and it really started decimating the economy of Turkey. And then Erdogan went to Putin on his knees and said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and all that sort of a deal. So this is all, it's like Lavrov said, it's complicated. And it is complicated. So, it's not like I'm pretending like I know what's going on, because I don't really either. And it sounds like Lavrov, he's not quite so sure either when he says it's complicated. Erdogan, I don't know if I should even talk about him, but because it doesn't make sense anyway. Like they say, he's a loose cannon. I've said that many times. A lot of people do. And he's, you never know. It's like a loose cannon on deck. And as the ship rolls around, you don't know which direction the cannon is going to point. He seems to do whatever he thinks is best for Syria at that moment. And he doesn't think in the long term. He just looks at short term and what's good at this time. I don't know. Try to figure him out. He's got a book out somewhere, and I guess they have it in English. And I was going to get it when I was in Istanbul, but that was some years ago, just to try to figure out what's on his mind. But you never know. Maybe he didn't write it. As you know, a lot of these people, they have ghostwriters. So somebody else writes it. I don't know. It's maybe like Obama. I don't know if he wrote that book, but in that book he talks about some place where he used to work, and it turns out it's listed as in truth, that's a CIA. It's a CIA front firm, and he admitted he worked for this firm, and everybody knows that his parents were CIA. So yeah, Obama, I don't know. It's not even worth talking about him anymore. I don't even know if he's in the picture. But anyway, Trump was in Paris for the opening of the Notre Dame, and all kinds of leaders were there. A lot of them were coming up to Trump and kissing his hand and backside and all that sort of thing. Zelensky just came away and said he had a good and productive talk with Donald Trump, and I'll get what Trump said in a tweet in a minute here. But I also want to mention that Sour Bitch Villy was there, and she was very happy after her talk with Donald Trump. Sour Bitch Villy, as you know, she's the one, actually, it's hard to say. It's really strange to say, because she's in the government of Georgia, and yet she's leading the opposition against the government of Georgia. It's because I think she was not really voted in. I think she was assigned to be the president by Saakashvili back in 2004. I mentioned that in a video too. And who knows what her plans are now. But it's not coincidence that she happened to have come to Paris, because she's French. She's more French than she is Georgian. She was born in France. She lived in France, went to school in France. She's worked for the French government most of her life. And then I think in 2004, that's when she went to Georgia, and she got that position by Saakashvili, who is a puppet of the United States and the West, of course. And as I said, as before that, or after that, Saakashvili, he went to be the mayor of Odessa. He got kicked out of there. Saakashvili, he's obviously a very mentally unstable guy as well. And this Sour Bitchvili, she's supposed to be leaving her term as president on the 29th of December now. And she says she's not going to step down. So, but I believe that's the time when they're supposed to vote for a president maybe, or vote for the you know, like I said, I'm not so up on the system and how that works in the Republic of Georgia, but no, well, she's a sour bitchaville. That's her last name, so yeah, kind of fits, I suppose. George Maloney was also there in Paris. Yes, anyway. What else do we have here? Also met with Trump, Georgia afterwards. Oh, yeah. And, Biden, he's now trying to push another nearly $1 billion into Ukraine before Christmas. And, you know, as what was allocated, I guess, from Congress. Thank you, American taxpayers. You know, these billions and billions and billions. I don't know how many tens of billions, literally tens of billions they've sent in this black hole, you know, of Ukraine. It's like a big deep hole with a fire down below it, and they're throwing money into it. Unfortunately, the American taxpayer has nothing to say, because you got the printing press in America that can print out as many dollars as they want, you know, endlessly. Remember all those pallets of dollars wrapped in plastic in Afghanistan? I mean, there's photos of it, you know, huge amounts. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, many millions of dollars on pallet boards, and it makes you really wonder. Lots of this money, you know, I don't know, what do they call it? I don't know if they call it black money or something like that, but that would sound racist, I think. I don't know. Anyway, incredible stuff. Oh, little doggy here. Looks like she's not so happy taking her dog out, this lady here. So anyway, talked about the money there. Oh gosh, another really important thing is just some days ago, before this takeover in Syria, I knew there was something else about Syria I wanted to talk about, but just before this takeover, you had CNN reporters interviewing this top terrorist, and he was talking about, you know, how he's going to do the government and this sort of a deal. And it's like, wow, you know, Tucker Carlson, he's not allowed to interview either Putin or Lavrov, but yet CNN is allowed to interview terrorists. As a matter of fact, they're still listed as terrorists on the U.S. list. The U.S. lists that group, you know, Al-Nusra, as terrorists. And yet CNN is allowed to go interview. And it makes you wonder, how did they get there too? How did they get in? Who got them in? If you ask these questions, you know, you start to, the answers form themselves, you know. Obviously the United States got CNN in there, and that tells you, oh, the USA must be there. How did the USA get into you know, it's like I said, the answer forms itself. And after that, start thinking about you know, CNN, Anderson Cooper, you know, CIA, obviously, and everybody knows he was CIA. He admits it. And, you know, very rich family. They've got a house, you know, like Buckingham Palace. I mean, his family, Anderson Cooper. If you haven't seen it, it's really incredible. I don't know, maybe 20, 30 bedrooms, something as big as the building I'm looking at right now. Matter of fact, bigger than that building, much bigger than that building. And very ornate, very nice, big yard. The yard is at least twice as long as what this distance from me to that building is right now. Okay, you get the picture. But remember, and I'm not even sure what year that was, Operation Mockingbird. That's when the CIA and a lot of intelligence agencies, they infiltrated into the United States press, and they took over, they put their own reporters in there, and who knows what not. And then you can start asking yourself, and of course it's still going, and it's still going. Tulsi Gabbard even talked about this at one point in time. And you can bet that it's also in social media like Google and things like that. That's, you know, that's why, I don't know, maybe that's why my videos are suppressed. You know. So, oh, there's another thing. I was going to mention this in some other videos, and there's one guy, I don't know if he's still working or not, I mean, as far as on YouTube, but he's not that old of a guy, and he says he's a former CIA agent, and I'm not talking about Philip Giraldi or Ray McGovern or Larry Johnson. Those are almost assuredly real CIA people. And I don't even want to mention this other guy's name, but anyway, there's a fake, and he goes out of his way always trying to mention that he's a CIA agent, and he's talking about, I think he was one time he was talking about that Russia was going to send troops in from the southern border of Belarus into Ukraine, and that was some time ago, and he was acting like he was so sure of it, and he's so right because he was CIA. Anyway, I saw that video, and I think I saw something else of this guy. He's kind of a dark-skinned. He's not black. He's kind of a dark-skinned guy, and I don't know, how old was he? Maybe he's 40, but I think he's in his 30s. But he's a fake, and I'm sure a lot of you know who I'm talking about. And he's even been interviewed on some of the other social media platforms on YouTube. I'll just mention there's a guy that has one that has glasses, and of course there's quite a few that have glasses. And but this anyway, he was interviewed or something, and this guy was acting as if he was a CIA guy. Fake stuff. It's just incredible. I mean, I can get on and say a whole bunch of things. I can say I was in the Iraq War, and that I was a big war hero and all that sort of thing, but I was not there, and I was in during the time of that time, and the things I'm telling you, trust me, I'm not making them up. I'm honest to God truth, because if I was lying to you, I could make up a whole bunch of crap and no. So, and some of the things like I was mentioning, and I mentioned this over a couple of years ago. Oh, and another person mentioned it as well. Like I was talking about that the U.S. wanted the Crimea, and it was Lavrov. Lavrov was saying that he said it twice. He said it in another interview somewhere. I think just recently. I think it was in Doha, and he was getting interviewed by somebody, I think from Al Jazeera, who was actually kind of a pro-West guy. And Al Jazeera, I believe a lot of that is owned by Israel. Not all of it, but it's kind of it's complicated, as Lavrov would say. So let me see, what else did I not just talk about? CNN. Okay, I'm getting down to the end here. Anyway, these are exciting days. Yes. Oh, I was also going to mention that the one way that this became kind of successful, and that's actually very important. Why was this successful in Syria? And Trump was putting out, oh, Russia decided to dump Syria, and in a little way that's true, but actually they were helping them with air support, the Syrian army. But the real truth is, and when you're looking at this stuff, and you look at this, it has its roots in the past war in Syria. The United States, even at that very time, and this you can find this in reports, the United States was bombing the industrial power, what they had of Syria, and they destroyed big industrial areas, bombing the factories, and saying Al Qaeda was there, and of course Al Qaeda was not there. They were destroying the economy of Syria, and they were bombing the bridges as well. And whenever there were terrorists there, even the witnesses were saying the terrorists left like 1 or 2 weeks before that, and then the U.S. bombed those bridges and things like that. I mean, this is all just a big operation, and very, very, very much, if not almost completely, done by the United States. And what's going on now is it's a form of another type of a color revolution. They destroyed the economic potential of Syria by bombing out all the factories, and as you know, that the United States occupied the most resource-rich area of Syria. And I've mentioned also in videos that the United States State Department has come out and said they have the richest part of Syria. It is the United States, and they own it, and they will keep the rest of Syria in rubble. And that is what they said. That was what and I've said it in a lot of videos. So Syria does not really have the money and the resources, not even to probably pay their own soldiers. And of course, as things quieted down a lot, and there was supposed to be a tentative agreement with Erdogan that he's not going to get so much involved, and of course that ended. And I don't know if this was a coordinated attempt by Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine is involved. We had mentioned that already. Israel is involved. Already mentioned that. The United States is involved. Turkey is involved. Those are 4 countries that are definitely involved, undeniably. And I believe it was Lavrov saying Great Britain is involved. I didn't really see anything, but if he says so, you know, obviously he knows more than I do. So, and Great Britain is not in the European Union. I didn't even hear anything about the European Union being involved in this, but you never know. But obviously Ukraine is heavily involved, and I'm starting to believe that this was part of Zelensky's PIS plan, which was not a PIS, well, it was a PIS plan, it wasn't a peace plan. It's not a peace plan or a, you know, maybe it's a PIS plan, but actually it's a war plan. And apparently this, and even Trump said so. Trump said that in one tweet, I think it was yesterday, and of course I think it was today's, which meant he probably put it out yesterday evening, that Russia had abandoned Syria, which not really that true. It's just what's more true is what he said on the day before that, was that it's a distraction. And I was mentioning that as well. So Russia has their hands full with Syria right now. And well, Trump was saying that Russia, first he said they lost 600,000 soldiers. First he said dead, and then he said dead and wounded. And I don't think so. I really don't think so. Ukraine definitely lost that many. And so why would, if Russia lost that many, why did they say that Ukraine lost 500,000? That would be like Russia saying, oh, we lost more than you did, but that's not necessarily true, especially when they even admit that it's like, back then I think it was like 5-1. But what I've been mentioning in a lot of my videos, and a lot of people do not talk about, they do talk about it over here in Russia, also low key, very low key, and it's on Sputnik and maybe RT as well. But Ukraine has been using chemical weapons, and Russia is not putting out how many people die at all anyway, no matter what sort of combat. But they've been using chemical weapons on Russian soldiers, and now they recently even caught some where was that? Oh, it was in Dagestan. It was just like a day ago. You guys aren't getting a lot of this news, I'm sure. Maybe you get this one, who knows? But a lot of the news is blocked over there in the West. But they caught some terrorists, and I think there were 12 of them. It's even recorded. And it was like in the dead of night, and they got these guys out of bed, and then they got all these things, and then these people admitted that it was for explosives. They had a lot of detonators and things to do massive havoc within Russia and all. By the way, there was somebody trying to smuggle cocaine, a huge amount of cocaine, into the European Union, and they chose the Moscow airport, which is a really stupid thing to do, you know, when you're smuggling anything, when Russia's having this deal going on in Ukraine. It's like, ugh, you know, I don't know, maybe they were smoking some of those drugs, or I guess it was cocaine. Maybe they took a lot of it, and maybe their judgment was off or something like that. I don't know why anybody would do such a thing. So anyhow, I don't think I have anything more. Let's see here. Well, I was just going to talk a little bit about what's going on in there. They bombed that, and some people are saying, well, it's the end of the brutal Assad regime. But I'll tell you what, Assad was not brutal. Assad was probably the only Christian leader in the Middle East. And his problem is, maybe, say in comparison with Lukashenko, Assad was way too soft. I mean, like I said, he would, I guess you'd say, pardon. He would pardon terrorists that were attacking and even killing Syrians if they put down their weapons and things like that. And I think he was just too soft. And a lot of this stuff about, oh, the brutal Assad it's sort of a form of projection, I would say, that I think he was just too lenient, and he was not really so much involved in the government, as you can see. So, some lady trying to catch a pigeon. So, yes. Oh, it's her kid. She's doing that for her child there. Interesting. Now you see they have family here still in Belarus. Look at a guy with his kid over here in the park, and a couple with their child over there. I could be taking a lot of video footage of this in Belarus, and it's a lot. I don't know if you have that. I didn't grow up that way in the United States, so I don't know about the rest of you guys either. Anyway, so I guess let's end this video, and thanks for joining me, and even you new subscribers out there, if you're watching this video, thanks very much. And I'm not trying to attack any people or anything like that. Mostly I'm after the ideologies. Maybe that's why you liked the video, and maybe that's why you subscribed, because of the last one. And yeah, what's really bad, and I think some people are even saying, I think it was even Lavrov, you know, it's these ideologies that are screwing everybody over. I mean, you could even add LGBT and all of this stuff to that as well, and you might be the victim of you know, going along with an ideology whether you even know it or not. So, and in the United States they try to create a paradigm world and telling you that this world is the best and we're the most tolerant and all that sort of thing. But anyway, we can talk more about that in videos in the future. So again, thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the next one. And I hope it's not that cold here today, but I hope your weather is better than the weather I've got here. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye bye.